Welcome to another episode of Ask the Zamboni Experts. I'm your host, Marty Elliott. Along with me today, Christine Ray, President of Net Sports, and also Ryan McKnight, who is the Warehouse Supervisor. Welcome, folks.
Hey, how are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on board. Look forward to talking about your company and the history of your company. So let's get into this. Let's get this started. Christine, perhaps you can start and share with the audience when and where the company originated, and take us through that timeline, if you will.
Well, the company originated through my father-in-law. He owned a sports store at Connor and Pape, or Danforth and Pape in Toronto. He was approached by the Toronto Maple Leafs organization at the time, and this was in the early 1960s, to make a pair of hockey nets. And they were made out of 4 pieces, and he made them by hand. He was a fisherman, so they were actually knotted. So he actually knotted every mesh, and it took him over a week to make them. At the time, there wasn't any bumpers or all the stuff you see now, which is the netting. So that's pretty much how we started in the NHL, almost 60 years ago. And then we go from there.
Yeah. So whereabouts is the business located now? Is it still in the Toronto market?
Oh, yeah, we're in Mississauga.
Okay.
23 years ago, I used to work in the healthcare system, and they were doing all the government cutbacks. So my husband and my father-in-law were doing this still at part-time. And we just sat down as a family and said, do you want to, I got offered a package because I don't know if you remember when they had all the Ontario cutbacks, and so I was offered a package. So we just decided that I would take some time off, and plus my daughter was only 12, and it was an opportunity for me to stay home a little bit with her. And so I just started pounding the pavement and knocking on doors, and yeah, we just started, like a lot of my customers I have now and distributors I've had for the full 23 years that I started. Some of the companies were like Sports Systems. I think they were called Sports Systems Unlimited at the time. Ice Pro, Amcon, Becker Arena Product. Well, Becker Arena Products we've dealt with for probably about 40 years. My father-in-law used to deal with them too. So yeah, I just started pounding the pavement. I actually knocked on doors, and in the first 2 years, we were in our basement.
Right.
And I actually used to deliver nets and bumpers and packages to our customers in the Toronto area. And I guess we've just grown from there.
Right. So let's talk about your customers you deal with, and specifically the big one, the NHL. You mentioned your father-in-law was approached by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Where's that relationship now? Is it one where you're exclusive with the NHL and all the arenas, 31 facilities?
Yeah. We've been exclusive with the NHL since I started working with the NHL in 1998 through a distributor, someone that distributed our product, distributed to the NHL. So we were just, behind the scenes at the time. And then a couple years later, I'm not really sure what happened to that relationship with that distributor, but the puck started going through the nets. I think it was 2001.
I think that's what.
2001. I think they went through Dallas and sorry, it was a long time. But just to give you a history, we were sitting at home one night, and it was 11 o'clock at night. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and Claude Lozelle from, I believe he played with the Detroit Red Wings, called us. And my daughter Allison, as you know, Marty, she was 16 or 15 at the time, answered the phone, but hung up by mistake. So then a few minutes later, we got a phone call, and she came running out with the phone and handed it to my husband Gary. And Claude Lozelle said to him, "Did you know that a puck went through the net?" And my husband said to him, "Well, isn't the goalie supposed to stop the puck?" Well, you got to keep in mind, this was 11 o'clock at night, and we're just total silence from Claude Lozelle. So he took a breath and he just said, "Okay, we need your help." because once a puck goes to the net in the NHL, that's really bad. So they found that a lot of the nets in the 30, I think it was 30 teams at the time, the mesh size was too big. So that weekend, we went to work, we came down on a Sunday, we cut 2 pair to rush out to the 2 teams that the pucks went through. And then in the meantime, that's when I first started dealing with Dan Craig.
Right.
He called me and asked me if I could get out 30 sets of nets, like within a couple of days. And
Wow.
we didn't have the netting. So obviously we did get the netting made up. And so within the 2 weeks, we replaced all the nets. And from there, we just started forming a relationship with the NHL.
Interesting. So
So
the
it's been,
protective, sorry, go ahead.
oh, it's been 20, almost 23 years that we've been with them.
Nice. As exclusive
Yeah.
suppliers. Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's amazing. They're great people to work for.
So take that story a little bit further. Protective netting.
Mhm.
Speak to that. Speak to the audience regarding what that really means.
We were approached, I think it was, sorry, the dates are, I think it was 2001 also when that little girl was hit by a
Columbus.
puck. She was 13. Was it in
Yes.
Columbus?
Yeah, Columbus.
Columbus. Um, we were called again by the NHL, so we started doing a lot of testing with them. Um, we worked with Martin and Martin Consulting, so we had 3 nets approved for in-house use in the NHL. Um, well, at one time we were doing 29 teams, but now they've switched to Kevlar, which is thinner and
Stronger.
and the visual is a lot better for the fans to see through it. So yeah, the protective netting, we worked really closely with the NHL just to like perfect it as well as we could,
Right. Right.
and it's working
So
really well.
yeah, and definitely since the unfortunate incident in
Yeah.
Columbus, it certainly has played a role in protecting the patrons in facilities. Just for our audience, if they're not sure what we're talking about, if you look behind the nets above the glass, that's where the protective netting on both ends is actually installed for, of course, protecting the customers at the arenas.
Well, we also had the monofilament netting in the NHL, but I happened to have went to a game one time and I was sitting behind the goal and I noticed there was some holes, and I immediately called the facility operator to make him aware of this. But he said with the conversion all the time, it catches onto whatever when you're pulling it up and down. So we pulled that. I called Dan Craig and I just told him I wasn't comfortable having that in the NHL. So we actually pulled that product. The only one we have now is a black and white. But as we were saying earlier, the Kevlar is the more dominant
Pretty
one in the
standard.
NHL now.
Your Kevlar platina netting.
Yeah, Kevlar and platina.
Right, right. So it's like a cut resistance or break resistance, if you will,
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
product. There you
Hmm.
go.
There's more of a
So
guarantee.
right. So the other
Mhm.
customer base you're dealing with outside of the NHL, municipalities, North
Yep.
America. How far do you guys reach? Do you guys reach around the world?
Yeah, everywhere. Like once or twice a year, we get a call from like Australia, and there's a pretty passionate kind of hockey base out there, and there's guys who just like we just want what the NHL has, and they'll pay anything to get it. We've also done work for the NHL in China when they went there for the games a couple of years ago, and then we have distributors in England that distribute throughout Europe.
We have Russia, Japan. We've supplied to Dubai. We supply all over Canada. We have distributors in every province, and we supply the U.S.
Right,
also.
right. So will we be seeing the Pro Net Sports product in 2022 in Beijing?
I believe so. Lake Tahoe in February. We
Okay.
do all the outdoor games.
Yeah, we
Uh,
personally tie those on.
yeah, we personally tie those on for the NHL. Like any outdoor all-star games, any events they have, we usually go to BAM Production Studios, and Ryan and Allison go and tie them on.
So help me, I'm trying to visualize that, an outdoor rink. typically you're tying off to a ceiling of structure of some sort inside an arena. There is no ceiling in an outdoor rink. Help me understand, help the audience understand. How does that actually work? Walk us through that.
We don't really deal with the protective netting for those events. It's really just like the frames and like everything that goes on the actual hockey net.
Okay, okay.
That's all like the crews at those venues. Yeah, like we don't do a ton of installation with protective safety netting. We're a small company. Most of the distributors that we have will install it themselves or have a company that does it.
Right, right. Well, let's talk about the nets themselves that has brought you to where ProNet Sports is today. Let's talk about maintenance. What type of SOP you recommend for municipal rink operators, management to put in play when season ends, during season? Maybe you can share with the audience what that looks like.
What do you mean with the hockey netting themselves or the frames?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, usually at the end of the season, depending on how damaged or puck marked the frames are, a lot of times the arenas will send these out to get them sandblasted and then repainted. Our netting usually lasts, depending on the wear and tear, 2 to 3 years. We just recommend that they keep an eye on it if it's cut. If it starts sagging, then normally the arena operator will retie it. I guess they just have to keep care of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the NHL,
Yeah.
everybody every season has to at the start of the season has to have a new package on, and then it used to be if you made the playoffs you put new nets on, and now it's more if you make like the next round. After the first round, you'll get it.
Right, second round. So was ProNet Sports involved in the design for the goalie cameras and protecting those? Was that one of the projects you guys worked on?
Yep. Yeah, we worked on those for quite a few years. There was always we'd make something and then it didn't, whatever the transmitters that they put inside wouldn't fit or was too big. And certain arenas have different size transmitters or cameras. So we've done a lot of specialty work. We actually went down to the Air Canada Center probably 5-6 years ago, and we did measurements with I think it was NBC, the broadcasting guy. So we did those. We bring them down, then they try them out, and it took quite a few years to get where we are today, and they still could change. It just depends on what goes actually inside that camera box. But yeah, we worked really closely with Mike Craig and Dan Craig with that project. And JR Boyle also quite closely.
Okay. Right. So outside of the NHL, talk to us about who your other customers are. Are we in Division One, NCAA, Division Three? Do you guys reach that far?
There are teams.
Yeah.
Like we do custom work for like Penn State, Northwestern. There's a couple other schools. Like we'll get as the NHL has their logo on the back and the net on the net protector. We'll put it on for them. And they'll take a package of stuff to put on their frames. But the NCAA doesn't really regulate the way that leagues like the CHL or the NHL do. But so we make the best netting, so they come to us.
Yeah, we're probably one of the largest netting manufacturers in North America now. We are in the NHL rule book, we're in the AHL rule book, and I believe we're in the WHL rule book now. So that's where they have to buy their product is from ProNet Sports.
Right, and that is the mandatory. When you say rule book, that's mandatory that these affiliations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. So what other projects are you presently working on with the NHL that maybe you could share with the audience?
When we have time.
Yeah, COVID's been a strange year for that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Normally, maybe 2-3 times a year, we'll see like Dan Craig, Derek King, Mike Craig, just for changes that they'll be making, especially with the tech that's in the frames now, where there's cameras mounted in the frames. They're changing that stuff almost every year or two, and it'll just be slight adjustments, but they're always trying to improve the the tech within the frame and stuff like that.
Yeah, we just designed last year or 2 years ago do you know the camera that hangs down from the top of the frame?
Yes.
They call it the pill. So we did a pill covering for that. Yeah, we're always trying to make improvements to the frame also. Like we have the clear end net protectors now, and that's just
so referees can see a bit easier into the frames.
Yeah, the referees have a better visual. We designed the clear tops. That was probably 7, 8 years ago, where we tried plexiglass on the top. We tried everything because the media or HD cameras couldn't see when the puck went into the net. So we were trying to make the top of the net less obstructive. So that took quite a few years to actually implement that. So that hasn't been changed for a long time. I don't can't see that being changed anytime soon. But
other product lines that you guys produce and manufacture and supply to the industry, what else can you share with the audience?
We pretty much do anything that's netting. Right now, we are finding because a lot of families are at home, we're supplying a lot of small nets for parents to put up around arenas. We have a distributor that builds sport courts, and he's been crazy busy this year, so we provide the netting for that. We have another customer, I think you know them, First Line Rinks. He does outdoor arenas, and we're doing a lot of work for them too. But I don't know what we do. Anything netting.
We make Zamboni towels, like for the spreader towels for the back of the Zamboni. Maybe you guys might be interested in that. But
yeah, you might be interested in those.
I think I've seen a couple of those around. Yes. Now, is that a terry or is that a synthetic?
It's microfiber cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
it works really well. I think one of your guys' distributors in Quebec purchased them from us.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we make spreader towels.
Yeah, all the accessories you'd find on a hockey net, like that's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
Is hockey, like anything to do with netting with hockey, or the accessories, like that would be like probably 90% of what we do.
Yeah, we do a lot of hockey, which would I never ever thought that this would be a full-time business when I started this 23 years ago. I actually was going to be kind of part-time, but now it's just evolved into a full-time, busy time, which is we're really fortunate even through COVID. We're busy right now, so we're very fortunate.
Right.
We do volleyball, huh?
Sorry? Yeah, no, go ahead. That's where I was going to lead to outside of the hockey industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do volleyball, tennis, soccer. Pretty much anything.
Like we have a sewer who can make you anything you can think of if you got netting and vinyl, like whatever your idea is, she can do it.
Yeah.
Like she's pretty incredible. So it's,
The NHL calls her Fantastic.
Her name's Van.
Her name is Van, so they call her Fantastic.
And she's one of your employers?
Yeah, employees, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Have to remember that. What about the webbing in the actual goalie's glove? Do you guys get involved in that? Say with Vaughn or whatever, Vaughn Sports?
No.
No, we haven't. But if you want to direct them to us, we can. We could probably help them out.
There you go. Let's talk about the industry, specifically FOMA. And I know, Christine, you folks have been involved with FOMA. How long have you been involved with FOMA?
The first FOMA I went to was 2013.
Okay.
We were invited I don't know if they just decided that because we were doing the netting for the NHL and the frames, that it would be a good opportunity. Like it was Dan Craig that invited us, and he felt it'd be a good opportunity that we started to get to know all the facility operators and work more with them one-on-one. Because at one time, Dan would just call me and say, okay, August 1st, send all the teams their packages. So now, since then, we've got, from going to FOMA, we've established relationships with a lot of the guys, and they just call us now and they put their order in, and so they don't really have to go through Dan Craig anymore. So we can give more of a personal touch to what they want and what they require.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Wasn't the first year you guys went? Wasn't that when they changed to the thin top
Yes.
netting? And we started doing demonstrations for the NHL at FOMA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Now it's basically a yearly thing, just because little things change every year, and it's different than it used to be 10 years ago tying on an NHL package. It's not as simple as it was. There's so many more components than a regular person would put on a net.
Right.
So we just have a face-to-face and a kind of like a maybe half-hour discussion with them with a frame present during their meetings, so that, and then obviously during the trade show we can have face-to-faces with anybody with more questions.
Right. So let me ask you this question, because I wouldn't know from a handbasket how to web and weave a net and install netting on a actual structure. And if I wanted to, and I was working as an operator in an arena and I had Pro Net Sports product, is there any sort of tutorial videos that you guys offer to your customer base that they can go to and do it yourself, if you will, type of video training?
Yeah, we have a YouTube page that just has for like a basic package for any community arena has like they're like 2-3 minute long videos for each kind of step. For the NHL, we actually made a video that we put on a jump drive every year and put them in the box with their package, and that way they can see like the way that we would do it.
Right.
And like, I mean, we have guys call just to make sure with stuff too. Like, we're always open to questions. Like all year, if people have any issues with stuff, like, we're always asking for, we can never get enough feedback, right? But yeah, we do have an instructional video on for regular people for our hockey nets, if you were looking to just get some tips.
Sure. And where would they go to find that information, Ryan? Christine?
On YouTube, but the NHL package, we have it here. We're going to put it on our website. At some point, how to tie on an NHL package. It was always very specific to them, so we would put them on a zip drive and give it to them at the trade show, or we would send it with their package, and they've all found it very, very useful, because it is a challenging thing to tie on the NHL.
And I think our YouTube page is ProNet Sports, if that's the question you're actually asking.
Yeah,
pronetsports.ca.com.net. What is it?
.ca, ProNetSports.ca is our website, but I think on YouTube, our YouTube page is ProNet Sports.
ProNet Sports.
If you were looking for the basic instructions.
There you go, audience. That's where you want to go to if you want to learn how to web. Am I saying it properly? Web a net, or how do you?
Yeah, we say lace.
Lace.
Yeah, like a shoe, right? Because you're just using string.
Yes.
So if you have like about 6 hours one day, if you want to come here, Brian would be happy to show you how to do one. That's just one. It might be longer than that too.
We can do a give and take. I can teach you how to drive a Zamboni and do a flight. You can show me how to lace a net.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect.
Actually, Ryan and Allison went to the Scotiabank Arena last week, and they got there at 7:30 in the morning. They tied on their game nets and their practice nets, and I think they were done at 6.
Yeah.
And that was with 3 people.
Wow. And that's how many nets?
4 nets between the 3 of us.
4 nets. Wow.
Yeah,
that's a long
they had a lot of blisters.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So is there any sort of, like, I'm thinking a needling and hook, any sort of hook you use to grab onto this, or is it just using your hands the whole time?
Yeah, like sometimes we'll use tweezers. I've seen guys bend the ends of like screwdrivers so that you can push it in. But me, for the most part, like, I mean, we tie on like 30, 40 pairs of nets a year. Like, at this point, I kind of just know how to feed it through.
Do it with your eyes closed.
Oh, almost.
There you go.
Not me.
Not you, Christine. You don't get involved in that part. You just.
I did try. I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty.
Well, we recognize what our strengths, what our weaknesses are, and go forward with that. Obviously, yours is building the business and making the sales and relationships, and you got the great people behind you doing those things that need to be done. Well, folks, I think we've come to an end. I just want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Ask the Zamboni Experts podcast. If you have a question for one of our experts or an idea for a future episode, please email your questions or requests to info@zamboni.com. Again, Christine and Ryan, thank you very kindly for coming on and sharing.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, so much, so welcome, and we look forward, and I look forward to seeing you folks soon, whenever that soon is. Thanks again for coming on board. Audience, for more information or additional podcast episodes, please visit zamboni.com/podcast or search Ask the Zamboni Experts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. This is Marty Elliott, your host, wishing you an ice day.